average price is quite low. I think I'm up like 400%. I mean, but the bull will say it will come one day. The bear will say, Elon already scammed you for 5 to 10 years. Why you still continue to believe in him, right? Of course, like this kind of rally after I saw is a 300%. It's like, oh, still outside of my
Hi, Boon
expectation.
Tee.
Hi.
Great to have you here today. Yeah, thanks for taking the time off for this chit chat session. All right. Maybe I just do a quick intro for you, lah. Okay. This is my friend Boon Tee. He's also a fellow YouTuber with the channel name the same as your name, right? Boon Tee. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very easy to find. Just search for Boon Tee and can find your channel. Okay, so he's also part of the two very entertaining podcasts called Backholder Pod as well as the 四个臭皮匠, right?
Yeah.
I always watch the podcast when I want to de-stress, and just listening to your talk, I feel very relaxed already.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get started on the finance stuff, right, can you maybe share a bit about how your YouTube channel comes about? And anything I miss out in your introduction or description, right, you can also feel free to add on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, hi James, thanks for having me. So I think that it's not like two podcasts. Actually, it's the same podcast. It's just that we started out with English podcast, and then we in one of the episode we just say, okay, let's do the Mandarin versions, because we used to converse in English among four of us. Then suddenly we are like, okay, just whack it, just do it. Then we do that one episode. I think the first episode even we uploaded to the English channel, and then we say if we want to continue with this, right, let's put the Chinese content into a separate channel, so that when it comes to the viewership base, right, they are all like those who watch English one, maybe they don't like Mandarin, and those who watch Mandarin they don't like English, right? So they can choose whichever they like. But in terms of the topics that we cover, also very different. So yeah, I think that's the fun part. You can see that the commentators, right, they are all quite different.
Yeah, correct. Very entertaining, relaxing, and just share different viewpoints kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about your own YouTube channel? How do you
Yep.
come up with the idea of
Yeah, my YouTube channel, I think it has already been 3 or 4 years, so quite some time already. It's just that I haven't really like worked a lot on like pushing my channel. I think I would say the channel is like complement my Telegram group, because I have a Telegram group. Currently, I think we have like about 2,000 members. Maybe like quite a big proportions are bots. I don't know, but it's quite a big community, and we have quite a number of friends there. And then some of them actually we also meet up for dinner and so on. So it's like compliment. For example, sometimes we just want to chat, and then we just use text. And then sometimes when I have anything I want to share, or for example the research that I've done, I could just make a video and upload to my channel. And then sometimes it's like we used to have a weekend where I host a Zoom call, and then people just dial in, and then we use a Slido chat. People just type in their questions. Then I just like randomly. It's a bit like YouTube live, but it's not live. It's live on Zoom, but we just take the recording. After that, I make some minor edit, and then I just post it on my channel. But because the length, right, is very long, sometimes we can chat for 1 hour, sometimes even 2 hours. So when it comes to YouTube algorithm optimizations, right, it's not great. Because as you know, people look at the video, it's like 1 hour, even 20 minutes. Sometimes you also think that it's quite long, right? Ours is like can go up to 1 or 2 hours. So it's very long. Usually I only get like 100, 200 views per those long form video. But I'm fine, because the intention is not really like to get as many view as possible. The intention is for friends to hang around, and then we have some chit chat, and then maybe those who can't join, they just want to watch the replay, they can watch. And I know that some people really watch people talking at like 2x speed, then they can also watch the recording later. So it's just more like community kind of gathering things lah. And every time I do that, I just feel like chatting with friends, instead of like, oh, I need to create content, churn out this content, I need to hit whatever subscribers growth and so on. So I don't have that goal in mind. Yeah,
it's more like a passion, sharing your
yeah,
passion on your channel and
that's
things
right.
like that. Okay, that's very nice. Wow, okay. So then maybe we move on to the investing side of stuff lah. So maybe the next question I want to ask is, how do you start investing?
I started investing for many years already. I would say as early as 10 years ago, I started to, maybe even longer, but the one that I can remember is that when I started to work in Singapore, I invested in some REITs with the goal of just holding, like collecting dividends. And then after that, but that period isn't like very serious type of investing, because also around the same time, I'm saving for money for my down payment. And then there's this huge, like not huge, I would say long stretch of time, about 4 years, where I don't invest at all. My money is just put into the bank account. The reason is I need to save for the down payment to buy the HDB. So, and all those, right, are done around 2017, where I bought my HDB. And then from that period onwards, it's like every month as I work, I have some salary, I have some, after account for the spending, right, I have some saving. So I do have to save for down payment already. That's when I seriously put my money into like stock market and do the investing. So you can see, I mean, I share this to my community also, like from the start, right, when my portfolio is only, maybe it's like 100,000. I shared with the community, this is how I invest. I even, it actually is one of my earliest video that I posted, is that I just share my entire portfolio position,
Portfolio.
and say this is
Okay.
100K, this is how I invest. And since then, right, I have continued to do that and keep on investing and keep up building my portfolio. So it has been, I would say, like, depending on when you count as a start. If you count the serious one, I would say start from 2017. But if you talk about like, okay, what are the earlier exposure that I have to stock market, that was way earlier. That's longer than 10 years.
So you got serious really at the point of 2017. That's where
Yes.
you have all your big ticket items all cleared already. So you
Yes.
just pump your money to work. Okay,
Yes.
okay, cool. And then actually, I realized you mentioned that you invested in REITs before.
Mm,
But from what I see right now, your holdings, okay, later on we will talk about that. But
mm.
right now, I think you are more on the tech stock side, right? So what
Yep.
actually what's your investing strategy now, and how has it evolved along
Yep.
the years? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll start from the early one, like I mentioned, right? In the early years when I started to read, like Warren Buffett's books and so on, right? Um, I did see myself as like a value investor. Where I will try to look for stocks with low PE, and then even if the business model is shaky, as long as it's cheap, I'll buy. So there's this period I done that kind of things, and also buying, like dividend stocks just to collect dividends, that kind of thing. But I would say my strategy changed quite a fair bit from 2020 onwards. What happened from 2020 onwards is that I pay more attention to the quality of the business and not the like the value kind of investing. So right now I don't call myself as value investor, because if you look at my holdings, some of them are arguably growth stock or tech stocks. But I don't really care because to me it's like, as long as the business is having a good fundamentals, then I like the business model, then I'll just try to get some exposure. But of course, this is done together with one eyes onto the valuations, especially if the situation where we see there's a lot of hype and then the stock is clearly overvalued. So I'll stay away, or keep allocations that is very small. So right now, I think my positions wise, I would say really most of them are like US FANG stocks. Or right now they call it what's Magnificent Seven, right? So I have most of those companies in my portfolio, and that's how I invest now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I share. Let me share screen on this part. Yeah. So this is your so-called portfolio allocation, right? As of 31st March 2024. So you can see there are quite a couple of things. Let me hide the question. Yeah. So you have Nvidia, you have Amazon, TSMC, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla. Yeah. I think most of the Magnificent Seven are inside already, and
Yep.
especially Google as well.
Except for
Okay, so
Meta.
except for Meta, why you don't think well of Meta?
Actually, Meta,
You
I
want to share?
have the stocks before. It's just that during the
Mm,
period where there's a lot of questions on when like Apple blocked the data, like they can't
yeah.
use iOS restrictions are basically, and they can't use that data.
Yeah.
Share price tanked that time, right? And I re-look into my thesis, and I think that this is not a company that I wanted to invest. Also, the metaverse, also I think it's a bit too early. So I would
Mm.
say in terms of timing, I really sucks because when I exited my entire positions in Meta, it was quite low valuations.
It went
So I really
down quite a
missed the
lot, right?
entire rent up. Yes.
Oh yeah, wow. Okay, okay. But that's gotta hurt lah. Actually, I wanted to buy into Meta myself when it was trading around 100. I was
Mm,
looking at it. Everything is intact. It's just that I don't foresee the vision of Mark Zuckerberg lah. That means he want to pump into the metaverse, and then I don't see how is it gonna come out on top of the metaverse, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So I really also miss the bull run, yeah, for myself.
Actually, my main concerns on Meta isn't too much about their executions. I do think that Mark Zuckerberg with his team, right, their execution
Mm,
implementations of all the new techs, right, I think is great. It's just that when
mm,
this episode of iOS things happen, right, I do think that this
mm,
company, it is a very it's a great app. The problem is that they don't own the platforms that they are on. For example, they are relying
mm,
heavily on both iOS and also Android. Because if you compare Facebook and Google, right, both are considered in advertising business. Google, with the power in Android and so on, right, in search, they are so dominant, right. I think that their positions
mm.
is a lot more safer as compared to Meta. And because of that reason, Meta just want to build the next platform, right, which is that they think that next platform will be VR or metaverse. So they spend a lot of money into that area, but so far I don't see that much of traction yet, lah. At least
Traction,
from the adoption point of view, not many people treat like all this VR as something like your smartphone.
big
So
opportunities, that kind of
yes,
thing.
yes,
Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe we talk about your portfolio lah. I do see that you have 18% in Nvidia, and
mm,
now that Nvidia, because last Friday they just had a sell down, right? Do
yep.
you have any thoughts to share about Nvidia? We're gonna hold long term. What
Mm.
do you think about the future and things like that? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Nvidia, I started investing in the company for I mean, in quite early. If I don't remember wrongly, it's like maybe in the 2020s. So I think average price is quite low. I think I'm up like 400% on this
Wow,
company,
quite big time already.
and this is definitely my best performing company compared to all the
Mm,
others. I would say
mm,
considered lucky because like get in early, and I do see that why these companies have like great fundamentals before all this AI hype begin. So I think back then, right? Let's say if we unwind, we go back to like 3 or 4 years back, right? You ask people like, do you know what is Nvidia? They are like, oh, I like. Sometimes people struggle to explain like what is this company doing, and then those who know Nvidia, they will tell you, oh, it's a gaming company. I don't even know like they game. What does it mean by gaming? Do they create new games, right? So
mm,
I that back then it's like people don't know much about it. It's just like recent. I was quite like recent 6 months or recent 1 year after all this ChatGPT come out. Then only people see that, oh, Nvidia is the AI company, the best AI bet, right?
yeah.
So I think I got in early, and then and before this entire thing began, I already saw that the data center business was growing, and I know that they are doing like important, like great stuff in the AI or machine learning area. Specifically, I clearly remember I told my community that okay, this company is not a gaming company. Just this word, right? I mean, for those who forget everything, just this word CUDA. This is like their entire ecosystem together with their hardware GPU and all the software related stuff, including all the libraries. It's really a business that is very hard to disrupt. I think this is the things that many people miss. They was thought that okay, this company is all about the hype, it's all about the AI. Actually, what we are seeing is just the applications of the internal core technologies. But actually behind
Mm,
the scene, right, these are the stuff that, for example, the CUDA that I just mentioned, right? I think they started building these things for, I think, 10 years ago. But the problem is that there isn't much use case, and they have been continuing building on it, and yet people don't never heard about these companies and don't know what they are working on in this area. It's like I said, it's
mm,
all after ChatGPT came out, and then people see that, oh, the next decade will be AI. So the story
mm.
change completely. Lah. But at the same time, also, if you follow the
Correct.
fundamentals, you can see that their revenue, their profit margin, their free cash flow all shoot up like crazy over the
Yeah,
past six
tremendously.
months,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So have to give in
But
to them. Lah. Yeah.
yeah, but at the beginning when you know their share price is like keep going up, right? Then their I remember very clearly their P/E ratio was like close to 100 times or something like that. So how do you actually get through that kind of you know high to is maybe the price is too high? How do you convince yourself that it's still worth investing in and keeping for a long term?
Yeah, actually, I would say if you, I mean, if you go back in time, right, and look at that
Uh-huh.
decisions, right, I won't say that decision is like a smart decisions. In fact, when I bought the companies, like there's no reason to buy it if you purely looking at it from like from
Valuation standpoint.
value investing perspective. But one thing I
Mm,
realized is this, right, because when we do, let's say for example, we do DCF analysis, right, and we
mm,
will ask ourselves like, okay, how much can this company grow in, let's say, 5 years time, right? Then we will say, okay,
mm,
maybe we look at their historical growth rate and then just extrapolate forward and so on. For those who have done this, like like many times, right? And then
mm,
if you are disciplined enough to go back to your analysis, let's say 3 years back, 5 years back, 7 years back, right? I'm sure you have encountered the situation where you think that the company can grow at 30% per year, then they suddenly just drop by 10% per year, every year, that kind of
mm,
situation. Or the other way, right? You
mm,
think that the company can grow up maybe at 30%, then suddenly they end up growing like 50% for like 5 years CAGR. So you,
mm,
if you do it enough, you'll notice that actually the hardest part to like project or forecast, right, is like how much can they grow, because it's just like one
mm,
killer product, they suddenly can go up a lot larger, and this is very very hard to predict. So I would say DCF, yes, we can do the analysis, but always with the understanding that, hey, this is just like some guessing game here. I'm guessing
mm,
if they grow at this percentage, then they are worth this valuation. But you always have to end that statement with like the behind. You have to end it with saying, actually, who knows, right? I could be wrong, and I should expect all DCF is all wrong. Like all our assumptions will be wrong. So with that, you will say, okay, although I can do the DCF, but I will just put like certain weight into it. But the other part is just
mm,
that, okay, maybe I just buy a little bit, just have some allocations first. And then from there, let's see how, and of course, all
mm,
these things is not like we invest with one decisions, right? It's not like one company, I put in the money now, and then I would just close my eyes, wait for 10 years. It's not like that, right? It's more like, okay, maybe I invest like 2 shares, 5 shares, and then
mm,
I would just continue to monitor, see whether they are able to execute or not, see their fundamentals, are they growing or not, and then keep on
mm,
adjusting. Let's say if really they are doing well, and then you want to add into more allocations, you can continuously do that, right? So this Nvidia, I would say most of them coming from the gain, but you can see that, let's say I say
mm,
400% gain, right? You divide by 4, it's actually started out at like very small position in my portfolio. Just because the price ran out, it become a larger positions. But that right now I'm not
mm,
adding because like it's already ran up, and I don't know whether when it comes to their revenue, can they sustain, or can they really sustain like 30 or 50% kind of growth rate for the next 3 to 5 years,
mm.
right? So there's a lot of all
Yeah.
this uncertainty. The price already ran up, so I'm not adding at this moment. But to me, it's just like let it run. But there are other
Mm.
positions that I'm adding, or if I
You are
got nothing to
monitoring.
add, I will just buy ETF. To me, I still have about, I think maybe about one third of my positions are in ETF. I'm fine with that also.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, okay, nice. So, okay, maybe we touch on another stock lah, inside your portfolio. I
Yep.
do see one that's controversial, which is Tesla lah. What is your stance on Tesla, and how do you feel about it? Like, especially it's been coming down, quite a lot, right, in
Yep.
recent months. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say first, among investing communities, especially those who create contents, right?
Uh,
It's fun to have this kind of debate. Like there's this company is controversial, people debate about it, and then we
mm,
try to like challenge each other, and then and try to understand the perspective of the other persons. I think this is all fun. Like even Adam Koo's, when he talked about Tesla, I really enjoy his content. So I
mm,
do think that this is good. But come back to the investment thesis of this company, right? I would say
mm,
you can't really like, if you just look at it like thinking that this company is just a car company, okay, then car company, if you look at all the car companies in the world, right, especially the major one,
Mm,
none of them is having like very high profit margin, because this is a hardware business. Okay, it's a high
mm,
capex business, and then it is basically, if you think from profitability and free cash flow perspective, you won't end up investing in this company. But if you take a step back and just forget about like it is a car company, and just try to understand what Elon is doing from day one, right? Like why he suddenly have some cash proceeds from, I think it's PayPal, right? So he have that proceeds, and then
mm,
he invested in two companies. One is he founded the companies which is SpaceX. The other one is Tesla. But Tesla, some people say that he founded the company, but actually he invested in this company. And why he interested to put money into you know auto business, where historically speaking, auto business is very hard to survive. Okay, so
mm,
if you understand that, right, meaning um, there's this revolutions changing from ICE car or internal combustion
mm,
engine to electric vehicle, right? There's quite a
mm,
big change. Okay, I would say the change, you can say that is from driving experience, where the acceleration is just so much better, so much faster, to the software side
mm,
of things, right? Including all the full self-driving technology and so on. You will understand that, okay, this is a company that is like creating products that is going to disrupt the entire auto market. So
mm,
if you believe in that thesis, right, then that's where the things get interesting, because you can now start to price in or try to forecast a much higher growth rate, and so on, right? And also, there's always this wild card about FSD, where people debated it for years, right? I mean, but the bull will say it will come one day. The bear will say, Elon already scammed you for 5 to 10 years. Why you still continue to believe in him, right? So,
yeah.
so I think there's a lot of debate on this, but yet, if for those who really enjoy the technology and know what is the differentiated approach adopted by Tesla, you will understand why this company is different. Okay, so
Mm,
as you see, I have positions into this company. Of course, I'm bullish about this company, but
mm,
I think I think it's not healthy to say that, okay, because of like I'm belong to this camp, hence I need to bullish all the time and don't see all the negative things, because like you just
mm,
mentioned, right? Recently the macro environment isn't great. If you look at the interest rate
mm,
is high, and then if you look at the
mm,
EV penetrations also, it's not like going up the straight line, right? There's definitely some slowdown in terms of their production delivery. They also cut the employees. Why would they cut if they think
layoffs,
that they can continue to grow, right? So definitely there's some short-term headwinds that they are facing. But again,
mm.
I'm bet holders, right? I buy all these stocks, I bet hold. So if I think that it's a good
Backholder,
opportunity
nice.
to add, I will add. But to me, it's like just looking at the fundamentals, track the companies over the long term, and let's
Mm.
say if this is broken, sell. I don't have a problem. But right now, I think it's still a good hold for me now. Yeah,
Still intact lah. Your
yeah,
thesis
still
is
intact.
still intact lah. Yeah,
Yes.
nice, nice. I mean, for me, I'm also looking at Tesla at the moment. Because of the robots, the humanoid robots that they have
Mm,
created so far. I mean, I do see that it's very interesting. I
mm,
don't have a position in Tesla for myself, but I'm monitoring lah as we
mm.
go along.
So
Okay.
you on the bull camp, bear camp, or neutral?
Neutral camp.
Neutral camp
I
for
do
now.
I mean I do consider both aspects. I
Mm,
do watch the videos and I hear both sides. Like what you mentioned, one side a lot of people say that, oh, it's EV is very competitive and things like that. But the other camp is saying it's not it's not just EV. There are more than that. There's the AI, there's the robots, that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
mm,
So right now I'm just looking at it lah, very objectively.
mm.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And okay, so now maybe to the next question. How do you conduct your research and like maybe find this kind of either Tesla stocks now or Nvidia stocks? How do you, or even Tencent, right? So that you
Mm.
own Tencent as well, 700.
Yeah,
So how do you actually get to know these stocks and analyze and
yeah.
eventually decide to put the money inside? Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of research, I would say because I mean, full-time job also quite busy, right? I already started to get lazy. You can tell, let's say from my portfolio, you look at today's what are the names on inside my portfolio versus let's say like 2 years back, right? It's almost the same. The
Almost the
allocations
same.
change, okay, but in the names, it's not that different, okay. In terms of
Mm,
how I look out for this company, I would say, first thing is that the approach that I use, right, is that I look at what I'm using. I'll give you one example is that recently my phone also there's some problem. I'm using an iPhone. So
mm,
the screen got some problem and I hope that it can survive until the next iPhone that come out. But I can assure you the moment the new iPhone come out, I will just buy iPhone. Okay. And
mm,
I'm not considering any other brands. Okay. They
mm,
are just, products that we enjoy to the extent that we will never consider the alternatives. Okay. So
mm,
this kind of company, I would say you can call it like this is because of the brand, or you can say that, oh, the product is great. They provide good user experience to the customer. So they will keep on coming back. So just observing my own purchasing habit, right? So there are
mm,
definitely items that I will continue to use because I really like them. So if I
mm,
enjoy iPhone, then I also enjoy to become Apple shareholders. Okay, that's first step, right?
mm.
Second step is
Yeah.
that because Apple, they don't everything they do it themselves. So as I research into Apple, I realized that, oh, okay, their chips right now is all made by TSMC. That's when I
Mm,
get into the story of TSMC, how they started fighting Intel and so on, and then lastly they got the contract from Apple, and now their positions is totally different now. So I studied their history and so on, and I also, become TSMC investor. Then behind TSMC,
mm,
right, suddenly realized that, okay, to make the kind of like right now, they are 3 nanometers and moving towards 2 nanometer. In order to make the kind of chip, right, they need a tool called the EUV, extreme
mm,
ultraviolet lithography machines.
mm,
Okay. Then I go and research onto this lithography. I noticed that, oh, actually, there's only one company in the world that make this kind of machine. So it's basically a monopoly. Okay. Then I
mm,
also become SML investor. So it's not really like I don't do this kind of screener, because to me, screener, right, is like, okay, maybe it's a good buy now because the price was cheap. And then the moment the share price shoot up by 30 or 50%, right, I'm thinking of selling the company already because it may not be cheap anymore. Or if the earnings drop by 50%, your 10 PE suddenly become 20 PE. Should I sell now? So that's the challenges of someone who pay too much attention to all these financial metrics. So for me, the first thing I look at, right, is really the business model. I need to
mm,
understand how this company started, and then what's the narrative like since, let's say, 10 years back. What's the development along the years? Try to understand their DNA, their culture, their business partner, all these things. And all this, right, I would say it takes time. But considering that I'm not the type of investor that have to do, like I have to invest in 5 new companies every year, then it's
mm,
quite taxing to do this kind of deep research. For me, it's more like I already saw the companies, and then even for companies that I started to research but I haven't buy, right? Maybe it's just like a handful.
mm,
For many companies that, I mean, like great companies out there, right? I just like don't have the, like the interest to go and find out, to go and research more. Like I would just leave it
leave them
aside.
alone.
Yeah, then I will have my ETF to cover all the companies, because when I buy ETF, I really buy those like global diversified broad based one. So that's how I balance out. But for the companies that I
Oh,
follow, I will try to take years to go and find out, to follow the story, go and read their transcript and so on. So try to understand inside out. And let's say if someday I meet someone who work for the companies, of course I will have more, like ask the persons what, like try to triangulate the data point versus what I read online.
scatterbutt lah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so from actually from all your answers, I can see that you are more of a those kind of a long-term growth investor, right? Where you don't really care so much about the numbers and the valuation part. It's more on whether they can sustain their competitive edge, their economic mode over the long term.
Yes,
And
yes.
you just find ideas throughout your daily lives. Day
Yeah,
to day, if you use Google or use Apple, then you just
yeah, yeah.
invest in them.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
also watch video. I think, like for example, you just now you asked about Tencent, right? Tencent, I
Mm,
read some financial, not financial, some report. It basically is like 50 pages Boon thesis on Tencent. I read those, and of course, if
Mm.
you talk about Tencent, the main thesis is all about WeChat, everything behind WeChat. And I also watch videos. There's great videos that I can share with you later. I think those
Okay.
are really like for those because it's a very big companies. So there's no
Yeah.
way we can understand the inside out unless you only cover one or two companies, right? But
Mm.
for me, it's like I'll take like when I watch like a 20, 30 minutes video, sometimes a great video, you can really understand the inside out on how what's their strategy and so on. So,
Mm.
I do think that video is also a good starting point to get exposed to
Mm.
companies, and then of course after that, there's a lot of research that we have
To
to
be done.
continue to do. Yeah, so so that
Yeah.
we understand and we can follow the progress of the company. Mm.
So maybe I just follow up with this question, right? How often do you so-called monitor your holdings? Do you do it on a quarterly basis or just when there are news or quarterly results, that kind of thing, then you do your, I mean, due diligence?
Depending on what you mean by monitor. If monitor means open app, then check. Okay, today I'm down 4%. That kind of things I do it every day. To me, it's not really
Uh,
taxing. But if you ask me like how do I monitor and then make reassessment and then go and reshuffle my portfolio, I'll say on average maybe it's about 2 years, maybe 2 to 3 years. I don't do that often.
oh,
Sometimes
wow, okay,
I
okay.
look at small positions and I realize that okay, it's too much for me. I just don't want to continue to hold. I will do a clean up and I will sell some of the companies. For example, just like I mentioned
Mm,
Meta, right? I have Meta
mm,
before and then I sold it out. I have Baba before, I sold it out. All this is because
mm,
like at one point it's like okay, maybe there's some fundamentals or some I mean, mostly it's due to fundamentals that I don't like, and then sometimes it's also because like I don't have energy to cover and like reading transcript, all these things is like taking time, right? So I want to spend
mm,
time onto the companies that I enjoy reading at least. That's the minimum
mm.
minimum lah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thanks. So just now you mentioned that you have a lot of your, I mean your portfolio inside your concentrated portfolio as well as ETFs, right? So you
Yep.
diversify globally. So other than these two, right, where do you park your money anywhere else, like maybe cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin, or things like that?
Cryptocurrency, yes, I have. It's
Oh,
just
you
that
have. Okay.
last time I used Binance and then after that I switched to FTX. But luckily I have a hardware wallet and then every time I bought some of the coins and then I just put into my hardware wallet, right? Luckily
Mm.
with that hardware wallet, after FTX gone, at least I'm safe lah. But it's a very
Oh,
tiny positions. But
okay.
since FTX down, right, I don't have uh what we call it, it's also considered brokerage, right? Crypto brokerage, right? I don't have all this
Crypto
wallet
broker,
anymore. It's all inside the wallet. Maybe I also
the
lost my
hardware
wallet
wallet,
already. I
right?
don't know. Yeah.
You don't even
So
know
so
where you
so
put it.
it's like zero
Okay.
transactions since FTX down until now. To me, it's like
Uh,
totally
uh,
forgotten about the positions and leave it there. Other than this,
okay.
it will be just normal. Like I sometimes for liquidity, I bought some T-bill and these are mainly for like emergency purpose.
Funds. Okay.
Emergency funds, liquidity, not so much about like investing lah. And
But
I
I
have
see that,
mm,
yeah, I see that you have quite a high risk appetite, right? Then in that case, would you be considering parking it into like things like Bitcoin, especially when they say that, now that is what's fourth halving and then it's going up again, things like that.
yeah. So yeah, I say look, I have some Bitcoin. It's inside the hardware wallet.
Uh,
If you ask me to
okay.
tell you how many Bitcoins I have, I really like I can't. I need to check my spreadsheet to find out. I totally, to me it's like I have some positions, but leave it aside, forget about it. Yeah.
Uh, okay. Yeah. Can. Maybe you are a Bitcoin millionaire already. Eh?
No lah, no. It's very tiny. It's really like if you notice, right, people have
Mm,
very extreme opinion on Bitcoin, like almost like Tesla situations, right? Some people,
mm,
those who really believe it, right, really they put like 90% of their net worth into
mm.
cryptocurrency, right? And then there are people
Yeah.
who say that okay, since like 10 years ago, I tell many people this is a scam. From the price of let's say 100 until now the price of 50,000 still a
Still a
scam, right?
scam.
So it's very extreme, but for me, right, it's
Mm,
mostly like I try to understand this like so-called alternative asset class and then try to understand like why people like think this is a asset class that will work. But in order to
Mm,
understand Bitcoin, aside from the technology things, which is all the the ledger things,
mm,
decentralized monetary, all these things, you also need to
mm,
understand the monetary policy behind that. So in order
mm,
to understand that, you have to come back to the fiat world and understand the monetary policy, how this world, the current monetary system, how does it work right now. So I think
mm,
it's a good to me, it's a good place to get some knowledge about all these things. But doesn't mean that I want my portfolio to be like 50% to be in crypto, because
mm,
ultimately, especially I don't want to comment on other coins. Let's just focus on Bitcoin, right? It's like people
mm,
call it like digital gold because there's cap on how many coins that's available, right? Uh, but
yeah,
but this investment is not like they don't produce anything. So it's a bit like gold. And then there are
yeah,
people who say that, oh, Bitcoin is a scam. Then is that means that gold is also a scam, right? So I would say that,
mm,
okay, there are very many different perspectives on looking at this asset class. I think it's very, very interesting if you really go deep down to understand the
how it
the
works.
bull thesis, yeah, how it works, everything's.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really like I really have like such a tiny allocations, mainly just for the learning now. I don't want to like learn
Mm,
things while I have zero allocations. So even if I
mm,
suddenly find that one company is interesting, sometimes I just buy some position and I call myself as an investor. Now I have the incentive to go and learn, right? After I learn it, follow it for 3 to 6 months, and I move on to another company. So then I just sell the company with either a gain or loss, doesn't really matter. I'll just move on, because sometimes small positions will make us think differently. We change our mindset
mm,
because now I'm the investor, right? I'm the owner already. That part helps. But if
mm,
you have such a tiny allocations, you know that even if it goes to zero, it will have no impact to our entire portfolio, right? So it's not a
yeah,
big problem. So to me, it's like building portfolio is not like, wow, you have an extreme view and then you just go all in, all out, the kind of
or
things.
in or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's mostly like a process. Like you can start it out with 1%. And then maybe there's, like as the fundamental continue to grow and then suddenly price become attractive, then you can add a little bit more, right? So that kind of like I do it on a progressive manner. That's why if you look at my
Mm,
portfolio, also it will change from time to time. But it's like one thing is also the portfolio is getting larger now, so it's
mm,
harder to move already. Okay,
mm,
relative to
yeah.
like let's say 4 years back, right? So that's one thing. But I'll say that's how I manage it from time to time now. Yeah,
Your portfolio lah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. And then maybe the next question can you share some of your investing mistakes? I think just now you mentioned about Facebook, right? You're selling
yeah,
at a low.
yeah,
I don't know whether you consider that a mistake or maybe a learning kind of
yeah.
lesson. But what about, are there any other investing mistakes that you want to share?
Yeah. When you sell a stocks, right? You sell, you click the sell, then you just go up by 300% or 400%, and you don't call it a mistake, right? There's something wrong with the mindset, with the thinking already. So
Maybe,
definitely those,
it's a lesson.
yeah, definitely those are, I will call it like a mistake. Maybe I can call it like timing mistake, but I rarely like regret my decisions, because for example,
Mm,
right, our decisions when come to investing, there are mainly two, right? One is you buy, okay, you buy, and then
mm,
secondly is you sell, okay. And
so,
then this investing things is also very funny one. The moment you buy, right, it will drop one, and then the moment you
yeah.
sell, right, it will go up one. So I would say that usually I will think like in reverse, meaning that before I make a decisions to sell, right, I will just imagine that, okay, this company it will of course it will go up after I sell. So I try to imagine that, and then ask myself, am I fine? Am I okay with that? And I was like, Meta is a good example. Actually, I went through that thinking process, and all this sell decision is not like done in like 1 or 2 days. It's really before I sell, maybe I already thought about it for, let's say, a couple months, right? And then finally I made
Mm,
the decisions to just sell it. I already like make peace with myself, thinking that, okay, yeah, it may go up. It's just that, of course, like this kind of rally after I saw is at 300%. So it's like, oh,
300%.
still outside of my expectation. But to me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. By the way, some of that process went to Nvidia, if I remember correctly, about the same period where
Uh,
I changed the allocations. I added some into like S&P 500, some into Nvidia. So it's not like losing
uh,
out a lot. But again, of course, there's all these decisions or actions that we hope that we can go back in time just because how it turned out. But I will say, I will remind myself that, okay, the the approach needs to be right lah, because I sell because for certain reason, and if I'm convinced that that's the right decisions, sometimes we just have to move on lah. So I don't spend too much time regretting my decisions lah. So come back
That's nice.
to come back to investment lesson. I would say maybe I would say for general public, right, is that maybe just start early. That's the one that I think is the and start to think of your portfolio from a serious kind of things like early. Because for example, right, I believe the journey that I went through, say for example, because I graduated in 2009. So from 2009 to 2017, now you can call it like 8 years, right? That 8 years, of course, I would say first 3 or 4 years, really like salary wise is like very, very like rock bottom. Like even struggle to get to have any savings, right?
Get
Then
by.
the second 4 years, maybe I would say that it's like all these commitment, buying houses and so on. Okay, those are excuses lah. But nothing stop you from, for example, when you draw your first salary, just put $100 into like a diversified ETF, right? Before you start doing any analysis on any stock analysis. I mean, if you really do that earlier, definitely it will have much better results, right? So the thing is that for myself, including many people, is that there will be a period where you just like don't know what you're doing. Maybe you just like thinking you want to speculate, you buy this, sell that, buy this, sell that, like without a clear plan, without a clear focus on like, okay, I see this as my nest egg. I really want to grow this to sizable positions. And you think of stock like bet. Like I put in 5,000 here, it go up by 20%, I sell, I get 1K, and then I celebrate that 1K. To me, that is like the speculative kind of mindset. I also have this kind of thinking back when I was younger. But right now, right, I try to not seeing each position as like, okay, I earn 10% here, 20% here. To me, it's like I look at the portfolio as a whole, and this number, whatever number that I'm looking at, is only like currently is still a fraction of what it will eventually turn out to be, which is a much larger portfolio. So I think this kind of like looking at portfolio seriously, have a plan, this kind of things, preferably it should come earlier. Then you have more time to compound, right? So I would say that to me, it's not a big regret for me. It's just that if I will do differently, I will just like put money into all this long term investing, be it ETF lah, like much earlier. Yeah.
Much earlier lah, in your early
Mm.
days.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then how about your retirement plan? So you mentioned like, you think your portfolio as of like a fraction of where you want to go, right, in
Yeah.
future. So do you have some sort like a retirement plan in place, or you just maybe just continue building your portfolio until
Yeah.
it's too much, too much
Actually,
already, then you get
yeah.
retire?
Right now, I don't really think about retirement. To me, because for example, right, sometimes every year we have annual leaves, right? So when I take annual leaves, I mean those are the period, is a good time to like spend more time with the family, and then just relax, and especially after working hard for like, let's say, a couple of months, sometimes a short break, 1 or 2 weeks, definitely good. And during those period, right, I'm thinking that, let's say, if I continue to have this kind of like so-called annual leave, like relax kind of lifestyle for like longer, I also cannot last that long. To me, it's like I'm eager. Like
You're
once
not doing
you rest enough,
something.
you want to do something already. So I would say that right now I do enjoy my work, and then I do enjoy hanging with colleagues, working on the any projects that we're working on. I do enjoy the kind of like it's stimulating to me. It's like I'm contributing, so I really think that I appreciate that kind of lifestyle lah. So for me, it's not like really I want to build a portfolio, then I will just retire early. So I don't
Retire.
have that plan. But of course, having a portfolio, right, isn't so much about like I want to stop working. It's more like giving an options. For example, right, let's say that when comes a time where I need to do something that I think is right, but may put myself, my career at a risk, right? Let's say if we don't have enough portfolio, we don't have enough saving to like to quit anytime and not to worry about money, right? We will tend to do things that protect our career first, even if that things isn't the right one. Of course, right now I haven't have this kind of experience yet, but to me, it's like everyone should, like work. I mean, try our best to have a sizable portfolio so that we are not we don't have to worry about money, and we
The
it's some sort of
optionality.
freedom
Yeah.
lah. Yeah, I do think that that's the
Yeah.
most important, and not so much about like
Right.
I want to like yao jiao, not doing any things at home.
YOLO.
Yeah,
fly fly everywhere in the world. Yeah.
but also
Okay, okay.
like
I think
yeah,
yeah, I'm quite similar to you in that case, whereby I mean my passion is in sharing knowledge lah. So even if I were to retire maybe 20 years down the road, I predict lah, I will still be doing a lot of sharing on YouTube or things like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So
And
that's your
maybe
retirement life, huh? Continue with your YouTube.
yeah lor. No lah. Okay. Then maybe last question before we end off here. Any advice for our readers out there?
Yeah, I think I have mentioned quite a lot already. Like start young,
Start
start looking at your
early,
portfolio
start young.
seriously.
Uh,
Pick up those investing mindset that you think will is more sustainable one, instead of like chasing high. But I think your audience, I'll say, mostly are those who are very serious into investing, and not so much about those who are chasing. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Bunty, for the
Thank you
chit
for
chat
having me.
session. Right.
Yep.
Thank
So,
you. Okay.
for those who
Okay.
are
Okay.
watching, yeah, so for those who are watching this, right, next we will do another round of interview. And of
Yeah.
course, maybe after we have the second episode, we will just put the link in this video so that people can follow that now. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Ken. Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right. Thank
Bunty.
you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Before we end off, if you find the video helpful, I would appreciate it if you can help me to tap the like button and share the video so more people get to know about this video. Next up, don't forget to check out this video over here if you have another few minutes to spare. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching and ciao.